We find ourselves in some very interesting times right now with the war in Israel. And it's an interesting time to be a Jew, for that matter. And a lot of my friends have asked me, what does it feel like right now? What are you feeling? How are you feeling? And on one hand, the Jewish people are broken from the devastation of not only October 7th, of course, October 7th, but this is a generational trauma. Unfortunately, this is not something that is foreign to the Jewish people. My business partner, he's not Jewish, and he asked me, are you terrified right now? And I said to him, this is part of being a Jew. He saw the videos of what's happening in Russia with the Muslims parading and breaking into the airport. He saw what's going on, and he's not stupid. And he asked me, "Are you afraid?" And I said to him, "It's literally part of being a Jew. We've experienced 40, 50, 60, 70 years of let's call it relative tranquility. But part of being a Jew is knowing that the world, in a certain sense, is against you." The Parsha, the Torah portion for this week, says that Abraham was one man against the whole world. The whole world was involved in idol worship. And here came Abraham, and he said that idols are not real, and really there's just one God. And this at the time was blasphemy. I mean, all the great nations of the world, they had their idols. And here was one man who came to challenge all of that. And this deeply upset the ruling powers of the time. And we see from here that the Jewish people have always challenged whatever the ruling power was. That's why essentially the world cannot stand us, is because we challenge their beliefs, we challenge their thoughts, we challenge what they believe is to be true. And I'm getting a lot of messages in my inbox lately from Arab people, Muslim people, all kinds of people for that matter, but mostly Arabs and Muslims. And they make these wild claims. Apartheid and genocide and colonialism, and that Jews are occupying the land. And the answer always has to be clear. And as soon as I give them this answer, everything always ends up becoming quiet. The answer that I always give these people, because by the way, they'll always beat me. They know the Accords, the Oslo Accords, better than I'll ever know it. They know the United Nations Charter better than I will ever know it. They're very intelligent people. Don't get them wrong. They're very smart. But as soon as I write to them that God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people, and he did not give the land of Israel to the Palestinians, all of a sudden they have nothing left to say. It's just over. They have no argument after that. Some of them will go as far as to say, well, God changed his mind. The Jews sinned, and therefore God changed his mind. And since you sinned, the land of Israel no longer belongs to you, and God has rescinded his offer. To which I usually reply, God is not a human being. God does not change his mind. God is not like you and me, where we're swayed by a TikTok video, okay? We know that God gave the land of Israel to us. And as soon as the Prime Minister of Israel starts talking like that, and as soon as the army soldiers are told that going into war, and as soon as the United Nations is told that loud and proud by Jews, all of these arguments are going to fall by the wayside. I don't think anybody truly in their heart, whether they're Muslim, Christian, or atheist, okay, or Buddhist or Hindu, or Jew for that matter, because unfortunately there's a lot of leftist Jews, okay? I don't think that any person in their heart believes that God gave the land of Israel to the Palestinians. They just don't. So I get it. I get it. People want to be just. People want to be kind. The world right now is demanding of Israel to be moral. They want morality. They want to see the Jews be moral. And which is funny because the Jews were the ones who brought the whole concept of morality to this world. You have to understand that before the Jews came into the picture with the Torah from Mount Sinai, with the Bible from Mount Sinai, there was complete lewdness in the world. Idol worship en masse, sexual immorality en masse, Sodom and Gomorrah en masse. And here came the Jews with this concept of one God, one nation, one set of commandments, and a guide for all of future humanity to follow in order to bring morality to the world. And here the world is trying to claim that Israel is immoral in defending its people. So where does it come from? It comes from this popular trend of wokeism that the underdog has to be protected at all costs. Even if the underdog is wrong, the fact that they're the underdog means that they must be protected. And this is not a Jewish concept. It says that if there are two people that come in front of a judge, the judge has to judge them fairly, regardless if one is rich or regardless if one is poor. For example, a rich man comes in front of a judge and brings his claim, and he's actually right, and he has everything. The poor man comes in front of the judge, and let's just say, for argument's sake, he stole a piece of bread. And the judge knows that he needs the bread. And what is the piece of bread to the rich man? It's nothing. It means nothing. But the fact is that the poor man stole it. The judge's heart might be inclined to rule in the favor of the poor man because he feels bad for him. Torah says that you still have to judge in the favor of the rich man. Don't let that cloud your judgment. So the world looks at the Arabs that are living in Israel, in Gaza, and I don't even want to use the word Palestine. There's no such thing as Palestine. There's Arabs that are living in Israel. Some of them live in Gaza, some of them live in the West Bank, and some of them are fortunate enough to live in Israel proper. So the world looks at the Arabs, the Muslims that are living in Gaza, and they say they are the underdog. Therefore, we will blindly support them. And this is completely immoral. And it doesn't even matter what they do. Their resistance is justified. Their killing is justified. Their barbarism is justified because simply they are the underdog. And this is completely not morality. Furthermore, when it comes to the idea of morality, Torah's idea of morality, again, that's where we have to take our leadership from. We don't take it from the United Nations. If anything has showed us, the United Nations is the last person, the last body on planet Earth that should be giving any guidance on morality. Torah's opinion of what is considered moral at this moment, there is a commandment that if somebody is trying to kill you, you have a mitzvah, a commandment to make sure that they don't kill you. You have a commandment to make sure that you kill them first. So while the whole world wants to hold Israel to this higher standard, okay, let's assume for a moment that the world genuinely believes that Israel are such righteous people. The Jews are so moral. And they're asking themselves, how could it be that such a moral people are willing to have civilian casualties during the war of uprooting the terrorists from Hamas? And the answer is, by the way, I don't think that they're asking themselves that question. At least they're not prefacing with the Jews are so moral. But let's say that is their thought process. The answer to the question is, morality in this case, according to God's view, according to Torah's view, is to kill somebody first that is trying to kill you at all costs. And then to the people that are trying to say, how could it be? There's another way. Israel's tried everything. And they're fed up. So, everything goes according to. People think that Torah is not relevant in this day and age, but there's a popular concept that a person has to live with the times. What does it mean? That a person has to live with the parsha, has to live with the way that we divide the Torah is by week. Okay, so every week we divide the Torah portion by 52 weeks a year, and we go through the Torah, the Bible, every year. And the week of October 7th was the first parsha, was the first portion of the Torah portion of the year. And that's where God says, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the reason why God started with that is to tell the world that he's the one that made the world, and he's the one that chooses who the land of Israel goes to. And there will come a time when the world will say that the Jewish people are thieves for stealing the land of Israel. And when they do, you point to that first line in the entire Torah. It starts off, #1 bestseller. The Bible's in every single hotel in America. Pick it up and read it. The reason why it starts with that line is to let the world know that since God created the world, he could give the land of Israel to whoever he pleases. That's #1. #2, the second parsha, which we already passed, which was the weekend, that was the week of October 7th. So we had the answer. We have to tell the world it belongs to us, to Israel. Enough of this conversation, enough of this nonsense. The second parsha is Parsha Noach, where we know that there was evil in the world and it became insurmountable, and God decided that he was going to wipe the evil off the earth. What do you think the evil was called that God said he was going to wipe off the earth? It was called Hamas in Hebrew. And then we go to the third parsha, which is Parsha Lech Lecha, which is God tells Abraham to leave his house to the place that he's going to show him. And that's the story of every Jewish soldier right now that is leaving his home, his comfort, in order to enter into battle for his country. Until we come to this week's parsha, which discusses Sodom and Gomorrah, which is a place that was completely wicked, that God had to destroy through fire and brimstone. And if there was 10 righteous people there, he would have spared it, but they weren't. So even God himself does not differentiate. If there was 9 righteous people, by the way, he would have still have destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. because the bad has to be uprooted. It cannot be left. It must be dealt with. So gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, although these seem like difficult moments, I want you to know that good times are coming. Nobody likes war. It's painful for all sides, for the winners and for the losers, if you could even call their winners. But the good news is that you could ask any Jew, from the most simple to the most sophisticated, the most unlearned to the biggest scholar. Each one will tell you the same thing. The Messiah, the Mashiach, is upon us, is coming. And when he comes, there's not going to be any more war. There's not going to be any more famine. There's not going to be any more strife. And we're going to be able to serve God with one heart, as one people. And may that time come speedily. God bless you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a like. Please leave me a comment. Please subscribe. I'm going to try to come here every day to bring you good content. God bless.